Go.
Okay. All right, my beautiful ladies. Let's close our eyes and let's imagine that this circle that is spread across many states and many locations, that it is tethered together by the energy of our willingness and our compassion for one another and our love for humanity, our love for the privilege of being in this body in this lifetime, the privilege of walking on the beach or smelling the fresh air in the mountains, and that we feel a deep connectedness to one another just by having shown up on these Saturday mornings, that we're starting to recognize one another's face and name and hear a bit of each other's story. And feel the strength that exists between this group of women and all the women that we touch as we go through our day and in our lives. And knowing that we have a beautiful responsibility to support women in our growth and in our reclaiming of the wholeness of each of us in our own unique way. And today, again, if there are any of us, any of you who feel you could use additional support, please just place yourselves in the center of this thriving and vibrant circle of light, knowing that we'll hold you with our love and with our intention that you should receive all that you need to handle what is going on in your life. And just resting in this cocoon of beautiful energy and support and love that we've each brought, knowing that we're safe here, and that we can offer to one another just what's needed, that we're all very intuitive and available to offer what is needed in all moments of our life, to all that pass through our life. And just let that energy circle around you. And open your heart intentionally to the process that Siddhi will take you through and for what we will hear today, allowing it to wash over you and to offer you exactly what you need in this day. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes.
And I invite you to bring your palms together and then gently bow towards your heart. Take a few deep breaths. With each breath, go a little bit deeper into your body. Imagine that environment inside of you. Imagine your bones, the muscles, the arteries, the heart. And especially this morning, the kidneys and your adrenal glands. Because we will focus on those this morning. And then we tune in with 3 arms. Inhale. Out. Inhale, suspend your breath. And exhale. Good. In our check-in, Laura spoke about the stress through the media. And I want to pick it up there because I want you, before we start our little practice this morning, I want you to understand that the stress is something that creates a lot of turmoil for our adrenal glands. Yeah. And the adrenal glands are the glands that really relate to our outside. So if there is stress, our adrenals get totally stressed out. And you need to imagine that your adrenal glands are on top of your kidney glands. So they are like literally on top. Yes, and what happens is the stress from your adrenals gets into your kidneys. And then you create anxiety and fear, and it can easily become a vicious cycle. And the problem is, and that's also interesting, that we are getting addicted to the news, because we get addicted to the news because our organs, our glands got addicted. They now want the next information of fear and anxiety and stress. Yeah, and that's when we are in this dangerous cycle where we become a chronic stress out. So we can break that by really stopping going to the movies or going to the TV all the time. Really be selective right now to protect these little glands inside of you, because they also have a major impact on our nervous system. So I want to start a breath pattern that you can apply in the next days for yourself. And we will do the breath pattern while we're holding a mudra for our kidneys. So I want you to place your palm facing upward, your left palm, and then you bring your right thumb in between your ring finger and your pinky, so that the thumb touches the center of your left palm. And then you connect your left thumb tip with the left ring finger tip. Yeah, so left hand, right thumb in between your ring finger and your pinky. Press down in the center of your left palm. Connect the left thumb tip with your left ring finger tip. And then the right hand is just holding this mudra. So this way you're strengthening and activating your kidney. Now the breath pattern will be this morning, inhaling through the nose, long deep inhalation, and then we do 8 segmented exhalation out of the open mouth, because that will stimulate our parasympathetic nervous system. So it goes like this. And do it at your own pace, own timing, inhaling through your nose, exhaling 8 segmented breaths, you count for yourself, through the open mouth. And imagine you push out the stress and anxiety, the one that's, you're conscious about, and even the one you're not aware of. 2 more minutes. Do your last round. And then take a deep inhalation through your nostrils. Suspend your breath. Pull your perineum, sex organ, navel in and up and squeeze. Contain and consolidate the energy within you. And we exhale. Good. And a Robin just came on. Robin, would you be so kind and mute yourself? Thank you. So this breath pattern is highly suggested to do between 3 and 11 minutes. Yeah, and I think right now it's a good way to start the day, so that we support our system internally so that we can go out into the world. Now I want you to rub your palms rigorously. You want to experience heat. And then you place your hands onto your kidneys. A little bit lower back. And just bring the warmth into your kidneys. The kidneys thrive on warmth. They don't like cold feet. They don't like cold drinks. They like warmth. 2 more times. The kidneys are the sea of our vitality. So if we are cold, literally the lake is freezing and inside of us. So we want to prevent that right now. So have a lot of warm water today and the next days. 1 more time. And just send love and light into your little relationship organs and you at the back. Good. Now we want to make little fists, thumb is inside, and you gently hit the kidney region, lower back, little bit towards the mid-spine. But gently, don't hit them hard. Close your eyes and just look inside yourself. How much do you know about your kidneys? When did the last time you really relate to them? They're there for you all the time, 24/7. And I think it's helpful if we start to relate to our inside the way we relate to our lovers. Because the inside will stay with us for sure. Good. And now from here, you place your hands onto your knees. For those that are sitting on a chair, or sofa, just scoop a little bit forward so your feet are on the ground. Have your hands around your knees and we go into our Sufi grind. So in the Sufi grind, it's really important not to lean forward. If you just lean forward, you're not pressurizing the kidneys. So you want to arch. You want to use your hands as leverage, arch forward. So there is pressure here. And then exhale around. Inhale forward. And exhale back. Big rotations. Good. Keep it up. Deep inhalation, deep exhalation. And I invite you to breathe in trust. And exhale anxiety. It's a beautiful movement also to do, every day. Remember, the kidneys are associated with water within us. And I like to visualize here that I'm coming back into the flow of my life when I do this movement. Good, and we want to reverse the direction. And preferably you close your eyes so that you can feel more. But it's not necessary. And then gently come into the center. Bring your arms out to the side and twist. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Powerful breath through your nostrils. Robin, I need you to mute yourself. He's still coming through. Seems like now you're muted, Robin. Good, and we inhale into the center. We exhale, we bring our hands into the ankle in front. If you sit on the chair, just have your hands on your thighs or around your knees. And we go into spinal flex. Crucial movement for our entire spine. Inhale forward, exhale round back. The beautiful thing is you can do this posture everywhere. At your desk, on your sofa, in the airplane. Good, and inhale and arch. Exhale, come sitting straight. And now I want you to open your feet. So in the center of your feet, you can also access your kidney. Yeah, it's an acupressure point. So I want you to rub rigorously on the inside. If you're on the chair, you can put one leg over the other and you rub with both hands. Find a way to reach to the soles of your feet and just rub. And I want you to rub until you feel heat. The beautiful thing is we can access our entire body through our feet, our ears, and our hands. So really rub it. And you don't need to be barefoot like I am. You can just have your socks on. Good. Once there's heat, you can let go. And I will scoop a little closer because when you feel like a little sluggish, under your collarbone, there are little dents. They're actually waiting for you to put your middle fingers there. And you just hit here very gently. That's K27, and you activate the kidney points here. This will increase your vitality. That's a good point when we feel exhausted, to just simply hit it gently. Good, and that's all you need. You don't need to do it very long. It activates very fast. Good. And then come back to your kidney mudra. I bring you back to this morning a few times because I want you to implement it. Left palm is facing up. Fingers spread. Right thumb goes in between the ring finger and pinky. Place the thumb into the center. Tip of your thumb touches tip of ring finger. Then just sit here for 1 minute long, deep breathing. Inhale through the nose and exhale, open mouth. You might be aware that your body temperature changed. So make sure when we're moving into the winter that the warmth in the body stays. And through these simple techniques, you can take care of that. Because it's when the fire diminishes inside of us, it's when we tend to get a cold. Okay, take a deep inhale. Exhale, open mouth, and you can stay in the mudra while you're listening to Nirmala, or you can just rest your hands onto your knees, whatever you prefer. And then I give over.
Thank you, Siddhi. That was wonderful. I think at some point we should do an expanded class about mudras, because there are so many powerful mudras to use to address many physical and emotional challenges that we have. And Siddhi has been trained in these mudras by a master, so she has great access and knowledge. So I think maybe one day we just dedicate to mudras. We'll see. Yeah, but thank you for that. So today, Laura actually started us off in our check-in time with a comment about the times this year, the 2020, many aspects that are showing up for us this year in our psyche and in our physicality, and how we're out of balance. And the question of, are we over-consuming or under-consuming, whether it's information on TV or listening to other ways that we can connect with the outside world? Are we hearing too much or too little? Are we consuming too much on Amazon.com or too little? How are we looking at the balance in our life? And I want to talk a little bit about that today, because the general malaise that I hear from people right now includes anxiety, restlessness, worry, fear. We've got a political situation that's challenging. We have social situations. The health of our physical body is being challenged. Our future is being challenged. Our finances are being challenged. And if you're a sensitive or an empath, you're not only feeling your own challenges and concerns, you may be picking up on communal fear and worry that's definitely present around the globe right now. And it's hard sometimes to separate out what's ours and what isn't ours. And so I want to talk about a discipline that is something that several of you on this call have participated in our Buddhist studies when we did our classes at Spirit House. So you know about Buddhism, but I want to introduce some of the concepts from Buddhism today, because Buddhism can be utilized as a daily method for keeping down our anxiety and our restlessness and worry, fear, concern that you may have. There is a methodology that Buddha set up that's accessible, completely separate from the religious context that someone might want to associate with Buddhism. Buddha himself actually said that he did not want anyone to revere him or to look at him as a god, that he was simply a man who had managed through his discipline and inquiry to find ways to look at the human condition and to address them in his own personal life. And he was sharing that. He even went so far as to say, I don't want any statues of me, any icons of me. I want nothing. Of course, that did not happen after he passed, but he was very conscious in the belief that we have what we need to take care of ourselves if we adhere to a certain discipline of really looking at ourselves and really being aware of what's driving us. So we've talked in our Saturday morning Sangha about awareness and about attentiveness and intention, and how those aspects of our personality and of the way that we work into the world impact how the world comes back into us. So our perception of the world is completely built on what we're willing to see. And how often we take a situation and we decide how we want it to be and we spin it to make it easy, maybe easier for us to acknowledge or to sit with. We try to eliminate discomfort and suffering. So I want to talk a little bit today about how Buddha looked at that and what he suggested. Buddhism is a wonderful process to bring alongside any other tradition you might be using in your life. I'm sure you've heard of Jubus, the Jewish Buddhists. It's a very big group of Jewish followers who actually practice Buddhism as a complementary teaching that runs alongside, because it doesn't involve a deity of any sort. It's quite easy to assimilate it into whatever other belief system you have. So I want to talk about just a little background about Buddha, which makes us understand his message. Cold down is the middle way. That's his message. And that's what Laura was bringing up today, is how do we stay in the middle rather than over or under, whether it's efforting, consumerism, attempting to participate in something too little, too much. Are we shutting things in, shutting things out? So Buddhism was started in the BC, about 520 BC. And so it's been around for a long time. And Buddha came from, as many of you know, a princely family. So he was in the overconsumption world as he was raised, and was really kept from seeing and experiencing the basic suffering, death, illness, as much as his family could. He was isolated and insulated. And it wasn't until he was an adult when he left the walls of the palace and he went into the villages surrounding the palace, and he saw that there was this human suffering that he had not witnessed within the palace, that he asked the questions of himself, what is it that is the human psyche built on? What are we really experiencing in the world, and why are we suffering? And he then left and traveled for many years as a renunciant. So he went from this abundance, over consumering, to under. He went to where they would report that he would eat a grain of rice a day, a grain, that was his food. He gave up all of his possessions, and he wandered around the areas the area that he was born in is now Nepal, but he wandered around India and Nepal, in that area, for many years, searching for the answers of these existential questions that we ask every day. Why am I here? What's my purpose? Why am I suffering? What is the meaning of this? What's the meaning of life? And it came to him through a concept that he put into, or through thoughts that he put into, a concept of the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. And this is what I want to bring to you today, because this is a very simple way for us to start looking at our lives, as all of this information and all of the concern that's sweeping around us is present in our lives. We can't sweep it out. It's here, and it's here for the unforeseeable future. So the question becomes, how do we sit with that, with a mindset that allows us to have some sort of solace, so that we can acknowledge the reality of what's really happening in the world, not have to set up a construct that makes it palatable to us, but actually sit with what is, and not feel that we're sinking, not feel that we're being held down in some way that we can't control. So anxiety and hopelessness and concern and worry, most of those come from this idea that we have of what could happen to us personally, or to the world, to our community. And we're worried about what is going on in the present, but we're also worried about what's going on in the future that we don't even know, the possibilities of what can happen in the future. Our mind spends a lot of time on that. What's it going to look like when this unfolds? And what are going to be my responses? And Buddha said, we need to stay in the present so that we can take care of what is reality. The only reality we know is the present. We don't know the reality of the future. It hasn't happened yet. So how do we stay in the present so that we can take care of what's called for there and see it truly for what it is? So Buddha talked about that existence, all existence is suffering. It's called dukkha. And he said that it is suffering because we look at life as a set of experiences, and then we make judgments to decide how those experiences should be unfolding. And when they don't unfold in the way that we most desire or we think is the most appropriate, then we have suffering for the loss of what we had anticipated or hoped for. And the only way that we can be in that anticipation and in that loss is if we're imagining ourselves into the future. If we're in the present, you're actually actively dealing with what is. There may still be suffering. So Buddha talks about discretionary and non-discretionary suffering. How much non-discretionary suffering is in our lives, and how much discretionary suffering? Are you suffering things that don't need to be suffered? That they're actually instances that you've created in your mind that might happen, and you're suffering in anticipation of them happening. Those we can take care of. The non-discretionary sufferings are in the actual losses that we are having that are deep and powerful. We don't run from those. We embrace them in the way that we can, in the many ways that we can. But what is discretionary that you're holding on to? So much loss is happening in our world right now on so many different levels. And is it a recalibration? Is it going to be something that we come out of on the other side with a new vision? What are the positive points? What are the concerning points? There's a lot to talk about. But the question is, do you have to carry that suffering yourself? If it's discretionary, if it's something that you can step outside of and actually participate in the unfolding, taking responsibility for the unfolding of situations rather than suffering in the what they are. So in the way that Buddha worked with this is he created an eightfold path. And that's really what I want to talk about today. Just very briefly, we'll go into this more next week, because these are the aspects that you have complete control over in your life today. And the eightfold path, it is made up of 8 ways that we can take care of our perception. And it's right understanding or right view, seeing things as they really are, not as we wish they would be. Right intent, where our intention is placed. Right speech, looking at how we use every word, how the power of every word that we use, and how we're intentional in the speech that we choose to share with others. Right action, right effort, right livelihood, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And we've interpreted his writings to say right, and not to mean as in the opposite of right and wrong. It's more in the, what is the most appropriate way that we use these perceptions in our life. It's not that one's right and one's wrong. One is just more in the truth of what we're moving into than the other. So how do we stay in alignment with how it is that we're taking in the world through what our actions are? We've talked a little bit before about effort and how much effort you put into something, that there's an appropriate amount of effort. There's an appropriate amount of action in any situation. Sometimes inaction is as appropriate as an actual action. Inaction can be terribly powerful, dramatically powerful. So these are all concepts I want to explore further, but I want us to start taking a look at what are the disciplines that we can use in our life today as the world is unfolding as it is. What are the disciplines we can use to see the world as it really is in the reality of it, and use our best self to come forward and meet it? And what fiat we have in our own behavior and our own perceptions to change our experience of the world. And right now, our experience of the world needs to be tended very carefully, because there's a lot coming out and coming at us that could be held in our bodies and in our psyche and in our attitudes in ways that are not serving us. So staying off of social media when you don't need to be, listening to everybody else's idea of what's happening may not be the best course for you. We have to really check in with ourselves. What's the best course for each of us? So I'm going to just leave you with this idea that there are disciplines, and we're going to explore. I'm going to post some of this on our toolbox, so you'll have an opportunity to read a bit about it. But I think Buddhism would be a nice practice for us to utilize as we go forward during these times, specifically, to feel that we are empowered in how we show up in the world.
Great, thank you. I just want to make present that we have a new president.
Oh.
All of Santa Barbara, I was like, what is this noise? And they're all celebrating. There's so much celebration out there, it's amazing. And what I want to also make present, that we will have the first female vice president. It's the first time we have a woman, seriously. So I think that's a good sign. That's all we say to it. Good. I would like for us to come back, because to calm our kidneys. We want to breathe in peace. So just for a few minutes, we come back to our mudra. Left palm, right thumb goes through. Squeeze into the center of your palm. Bring the tip of your thumb to the tip of your ring finger. Hold this and just hold it gently. It's just a beautiful mudra to sit in. And then we close the eyes. We inhale, mentally reciting Om. Exhale, mentally reciting Shanti. Om Shanti. Inhaling Om, exhaling Shanti. And if you feel more comfortable with I am peace, so do that. Yeah? Whatever feels right to you. You might hear the fireworks behind me. See that you still can be in silence. Good. Allow the mudra to work. Breathe in peacefulness. Breathe in the light. We gently bring our hands into prayer pose. Bowing to each other's truth. Tuning out with Aum Shanti Shanti. Spreading the fragrance of peace to all of us and around the world. Inhale. Aum Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you all for joining. We are looking forward to being with you next week. For those who want to still sit in the mudra and meditate, I will let the music go for another 10 minutes. Thank you. Have a beautiful rest of the day.